It is time for another TBR review, and today we are putting a new spin on it. Hi everyone, my name is Julie. This is Keep Calm with Books and Coffee. Today I'm going to be starting a TBR in review video, which are videos where I go through books on my physical TBR. I have them separated out by year that I have purchased the books, and then I kind of go through those books each year and take a look at them, reevaluate if I still want to read them, take a look at what I've read and pulled off of those years, and kind of just, it's a good way for me to keep up and keep kind of culling books from my TBR if I'm not interested in them anymore, and kind of just keep myself accountable for those older books. If you've seen my video from last month, you'll know I took a vlog style approach to this last month when I haven't before, because this year I've been reading the first chapter of each book before I go through the stats and everything. And previously I didn't have that many books to try the first chapters of. This time I have 15, so I'm taking a little bit of I'm leaning into that vlog style a little more this time so that I can film this video over a few days, and I'm gonna read the first chapter of these books or explain to you why I'm not in certain cases, and then give you my impressions and kind of give you my stats at the end. So as of right now, out of the books that I had on my TBR that I had purchased in 2021 last year, I have read 5 of those, which are A Curious Beginning, the Foxhole Court Book 1, I read The Screaming Staircase, I read Little Thieves, and I read Master of Jinn. So those are the 5 that I read. I've actually not DNF'd. I have not DNF'd a single book off of this year, which is interesting, but I have unhauled 5 without reading them, without really taking a deeper look at them, because I've either looked at the synopsis or heard reviews about them that made me decide, you know what, I'm not interested in these. Then, like I said, I have 15 remaining, so I will be working my way through these. I'll be talking about, I'll be reading the first chapter and then coming back to you guys to explain if I think I'm going to keep the book, if I'm going to unhaul it for some reason, etc., etc. I really like doing this. I think it's a really good way to, like I said, keep me accountable. And often when I do this, even there are a few times that I have done this recently where I read the first chapter and I say, yeah, that book seems interesting, but then a few months later I'll be like, you know what, that actually didn't make me want to read the book that much. And it sort of is a good way of kind of putting those books back in my mind and maybe unhauling them eventually, even if I don't do it right now. So yeah, so that's going to be the start of this vlog, and I will come back to you with some thoughts on some first chapters, and we'll go from there. Hello everyone. So I am about to start the actual reading part of this project, but I wanted to show you, I think, all the books that are currently on the list that I purchased in 2021 that I can't read, or I'm not going to read the first chapter of for various reasons. I think I have 4 here. So the first one is A Vow So Bold and Deadly. This is the third and final, I think, book in the Curse So Dark and Lonely series. I haven't read the second book, so I'm not going to start the first chapter of this. I know I like the writing style. I know I just need to continue on with the series. I'm really trying to do that before the end of the year. We'll see. I think it's on my self-destruct books list, so this might be going no matter what, but we'll see. Then I also have Witch Shadow by Susan Dennard. This is I'm so mad at myself that I haven't read this yet, but I have to reread the first few books, and I can't decide if I just want to reread Blood Witch or if I want to reread all of them. I kind of just want to reread all of them, but I haven't decided yet. But anyway, I like this series. I don't need to know I don't need to jump into that. I know. Next is Winter of the Witch by Catherine Arden. This is the third and final, what is this series called? Bear and the Nightingale series? This series. And I also have the second book on this year to read. So I picked them up in the same year. So I need to read the second book before I can jump into that one. Again, I don't want to spoil myself for things. And then the final one I have is Archangel's Kiss, a Guild Hunter novel by Nalini Singh. Same as Winter of the Witch, I have the first book in this series on the 2021 TBR in review to read the first chapter of, so I don't want to read the second book and spoil myself for stuff. So those are the 4 that are going to be staying unless I get rid of something related to them, or you know, I absolutely hate the first book, you know, whatever. So those are 4 already that are staying on the TBR for next year. Okay, so we have 1 down. This is Angel's Blade by Nalini Singh. This is the start of a very long paranormal romance series that is all about angels, and the other the female love interest in this one is a vampire hunter, and I believe this is going to be like Singh's other series, the Psy Changeling series, where we follow a different couple in each book. I absolutely adore her Psy Changeling series, and the first chapter of this was really intriguing, so I will definitely be keeping this and reading it at some point. I just don't know when, because taking on a 20-book series is a lot, but I'm excited for it and it sounds really fun. I'm sorry the lighting is absolute crap in this room. I only have 1 light, and it's a soft light because I want to keep my sanity. I read the first chapter of A Song Below Water by Bethany C. Morrow. Definitely will be keeping this. I really liked the first chapter. I had read this first chapter or so once before on audio, and it wasn't working for me, so I was a little nervous starting this, but after reading the first chapter in print, it was fine and interesting, and I want to find out more. Obviously the first chapter is just a few pages, but I am a little confused about this world and what's happening, but I'm sure we will get more explanations, so definitely a keep. And then, oh, where did I put it? Right here. Then I also have The Raven King by Nora Sokovic, and this is the second book in the Fox Hill Court series, I think is what it's called. And I read the first Foxhole Court. I read that book last year. Basically, I realized that after starting the first chapter of this, I don't really remember what was happening at the end of that book, so I have put the audiobook on hold at my library in order to listen to it again and maybe jump into the second book after I read that first book, because, you know, then I would just keep going with the series. I did really like the first book. I found it really interesting and it was good. I enjoyed it. There's a lot of triggers for this series, so definitely check those out if you're interested. But this is like a series that is recommended to fans of the Raven Cycle, and I did enjoy the first book. And it was really like action-packed and interesting. And it reminded me of a couple of other things that I have seen in media lately. I can't think of what it is though right now. We'll find out. But anyway, I'm keeping this, and I think the third book is also on the list for this series, or this, I bought all 3 of these at the same time, so the third book is also on the list for 2021 TBR review, so I will be keeping both of these. Hello, so the next book I read for this was Defy the Night by Bridget Kemmerer. And this one is hard to decide. This one is one that I might be like polling you for. I can't decide if I'm gonna like this or not. It is a YA fantasy, which I don't read a lot of anymore. Very tropey, but I like Kemmerer. I like her writing. I like her characters. I usually have fun reading her books. I have 2 other ones on my shelf that I haven't read yet, but she just does a fun job of reading. So this will probably be like a 4-star book. Probably won't blow me out of the water, but I will probably like it. It's about illness and plague, which, like, I didn't read it when it came out because it was the COVID times, so I didn't read it then. But I still bought it because I wanted to support her, and I like I said, I like her series and I like her books. So this might be one that I either hang on to until I finish the Curse of Dark and Lonely series and then decide after that, or do I just say it's not going to be for me now, because I think the 3rd book is about to come out, so I could like unhaul it and put it on Pango and see if anybody wants it before the last book comes out. Any thoughts? I would love to hear thoughts. Good afternoon. So I have some updates for you on books that I have read, or, well, not read, but I read the first chapter of. The first is The Wild Ones by Nafiza Azad, and this is a fantastical story of women and I'm not quite sure. It says the magic will not be vanquished. This was something that I got in a surprise box, and I've read the description a few times, but it doesn't seem to do, like, it just seems it's like it's about women throughout time and maybe some magic. I'm not quite sure. And after reading the first chapter, I don't really have a solid grip on what's happening. However, I'm still interested in it. It seems fascinating. It seems like it's going to be a really important read. It seems like it has a lot of diversity and talking about women in society, and the description does say something about women in the worst situations in life. And we are girls who have tasted the worst this world can offer. We are the wild ones, and we will not be silenced. So, like I said, sounds really interesting. The first chapter was very compelling. I think this is something that I'm going to want to read on audiobook because the prose is very flowery, very descriptive, and it seems like it would flow beautifully if it was read aloud. So I will be checking that out. Next up is The Girl in the Tower by Catherine Arden. So I'm not sure if this should really be in this video. I think it's probably supposed to be in the unknown titles and it just got mixed up somewhere along the way. But Winter of the Witch is in this pile, so it all works out. But The Girl in the Tower, I have read the first chapter of this a few times. This is another one that I'm trying to source on audio because I read the first one on audio and it was so well done and I really enjoyed it. Now I'm trying to get this one. This is just one I need. I like every winter I say I'm going to read this book in the winter and I don't. So hopefully this winter, this is still one I want to read. It sounds so interesting. And then the last one I have right now is The Kingdoms by Natasha Pulley. This is about a man who steps off a train and doesn't remember who he is or where he came from. He steps off the train and that's his first memory. And he's very confused about the state of the world. Like everything is different than what he's imagined or he remembers previously. And after reading the first chapter, I am so intrigued. Like this was written in a way that just like grabs you. And I already feel so much compassion for Joe, the main character, in his confusion. And I'm also have so many questions and I'm so curious about where the story is going. So definitely a keeper here. And now I need to go get more to read first chapters of. I've been kind of like doing a task in my life, whether that's, running errands, working on a crochet project, reading another book, whatever, cleaning up the kitchen, and then reading a chapter, and then kind of cycling through things. So this might get finished today, or I might run out of time today. We'll see. Hello everyone. So it is much later than the last clip. And I have read two things. I read the Ruthless Lady's Guide to Wizardry by C.M. Wagoner, which I talked about Wagoner's other book that I owned, and I talked about how it reminded me a lot of Gail Carriger when I read the first chapter of that in another one of these videos, and I simply read the title of the first chapter of this and said it's going to be the same type of thing, so we aren't going to read the first chapter. It's right up my alley, so I definitely have to prioritize those. Then I also read We Ride Upon Sticks by Quan Berry, and this is about a field hockey team in Massachusetts in the 80s that might or might not do witchcraft. One of the girls is named Putnam, like Ann Putnam, so I'm very fascinated by this. I read about half of the first chapter because the entire first chapter was 30 pages, and that seemed like a lot, so I read until there was a break in the action. And I like the writing style. It's a little snarky, it's a little funny, it's got a lot of 80s references. I think I will keep this one as well. Alrighty, so I've finished my last two. Finished my last two is a long. I read one and realized that this is an anthology, so even if I read the first story, I'm not going to get a vibe of if I want to keep reading or not, but there's so many authors in here that I want to try that I am not going to unhaul this. And the other one is Son of the Storm, and this has a very intriguing prologue. That's actually what made me buy it at Barnes & Noble a few years ago in 2021 when I picked it up. So I reread that and I enjoyed it, and I am very interested in it, so I will be keeping this. So I don't think I unhauled, I don't think I chose to unhaul any of the books this time that I was vlogging. So I will have final stats for you tomorrow, but those are all of the books and what I thought of their first chapters. And I don't know, I'm pretty happy that I liked all of them. And, well, not all of them, but I had a good number that I could read to try. And the rest of them are pretty safe bets because I'm either reading part of a series or had read part of it before. I think it was all parts of series. So as I get closer to present day, they are books that I am like actually wanting to read, which is great. So that is it. I'm not going to sign off. I was about to like do my sign off, but I'm not going to do that because tomorrow I'm going to talk about the stats of what's left, how many I read, how many I DNF'd over the course of the year, and all of that stuff, and then we will sign off. All right, so this is the end. This is the wrap up. Like I said, there was 5 books that I had unhauled and 5 books that I had read since last year. So that's 10 books off of this year, off of 21 that I had, gotten rid of, read, whatever. And I read the first chapter of the 15 books, and we're keeping all of those. They were all intriguing enough or interesting enough or I'm invested in the series enough to hang on to them for now. That doesn't mean I'll read them all or unhaul them all till next year. This is probably the biggest stack that I've kept from a year, and that makes sense because we're getting closer and closer to present day and the books that I've purchased the most recently, so the books that are the most in line with my current reading taste. So hopefully till next year, we have one more of these to do, the 2022 one, and that one will be a little different because I'm going to compare like what I bought last year to how many I started with at the beginning of the year, and then also kind of try to do the same thing. That's going to be the biggest one. So if you enjoy this vlog style of this, let me know because I will continue to do it. I will keep doing the updates as I read the first chapter instead of just talking through it all. But that is it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any thoughts or feelings or want to talk about any of the things that I talked about today, you can do so down below. Comment, like, or subscribe down there as well because those all help my channel out. If you want to leave a star emoji, if you're not feeling like talking today, that would also be excellent. But yeah, that's it for me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.